Okay, so let's talk about the silence of divorce. You're out on your own, you're in your new place, or maybe you're in the same place, but you're alone now. Some people stay in their homes and one spouse leaves. In my case, brand new apartment. And one of the things that you have to adjust to is the silence. I've talked with other people who have, one of my friends was divorced after I think 33 years or something like that. My sister, she was in a long marriage too, and her and I were both going through divorce at the same time. And all of us have at one point or another said the same thing and noticed the same thing, and that is the silence. You can have a busy life and be busy doing things, and if you have children, that in a way is a benefit to you during this time because you have somewhere to put your focus on when you have to take care of kids or you have schedules and different things that you have to keep doing. And that gives you something to focus on instead of just being alone with your thoughts and grieving. And it's a blessing in disguise in a way because the grieving process is so painful and devastating that to have a bit of a reprieve, I just feel like, God, you're lucky that you have that, because I didn't have that. When I was alone with myself, I was alone with myself, with my thoughts and my pain and my grief and all of that. And it's so devastating and painful. So what happens is you try and keep yourself busy with work and with things that have to get done. But then you will reach a moment in your day where there's nothing left to do. And you're just left with this silence. And in the past, my silence would be filled with, my cats, which I don't have anymore, and feeding them and having that as a responsibility of something else other than work that I had to do. You can go do the grocery shopping and all these other things, but there will come a point in your day where there's just silence. And normally that silence would be filled with, you'd be happy, doing other things, and maybe you'd put on TV, but you knew in the back of your head that your partner was going to come home at a certain point, or maybe you guys were on the same schedule, so your partner was already there with you making noise in the household, and you just knew that there was someone there. And when you're divorced or getting a divorce and you're already separated, there's no one coming home. And so you have to adjust to that feeling of silence and that knowingness that there's no one coming home for you. There's no one that's thinking about you at this particular moment. There's no one that loves you that's going to walk in the door or that wants to hang out with you. There's no one to talk to. There's nobody coming in that's going to be planning, your future together or talk about where you're going to go next or vacations or anything like that. That's really hard, especially if you've been with somebody for years. I mean, even in a shorter relationship, you get used to somebody being in your presence and you still do all those things. Magnify that by a decade or 2 decades, which in my case, it was 2 decades of being with somebody and having, had patterns of things that we did together and having a million photos of us doing different activities over the years and having that history of raising children together. And all of a sudden, none of that is there. And that is the most weird feeling. It's the most awkward. It can be in the beginning, very painful because you're just sitting with that silence and you don't have anywhere to put it. And you can't do anything about it because there's, at some point you're going to be alone in your apartment or your house and you're going to go to bed soon. And there's going to be that quiet time where you're just faced with all of that. And it does get easier over time. You start to learn how to be alone again. And you start wanting to do certain things, like the things that I would normally do when I was alone. I didn't have any desire whatsoever to do. And that's kind of depression, right? You lose interest in the things that used to make you happy. I couldn't be happy for anything. I couldn't feel any excitement for anything. And I'm happy to say that some of my joy is coming back through. I created this paper doll. I call her the paper coach. It's just this silly, goofy thing, but I made a Get It Done Dolly, and she's a paper coach. I'll put the link below so you can check her out because I'm selling her now. But she just brought me so much joy. And it was like the stupid little thing, but it allowed me to, it was a creation that I had already made, and I had planned on doing this, but it just, the timing never worked out. And of course, then when I was going through the divorce and stuff, I wasn't creative at all. But then, time has come around, and let's see, it's February, March, April, May, June, it's been 3.5 months. June 21st, it will be 4 months. So it's still early days. But all of a sudden, I felt a little feeling of happiness with Dolly because she made me happy, and it was silly and goofy. And here I am creating these little movies. Bringing her to life, and that created some joy for me. But it took 3.5 months before I could even feel a twinge of any kind of joy. I used to read all the time, and I had no interest in reading. Now I have a book. I've tried a couple. I had a couple of books and I tried to read. I have 3 books that I tried and I just couldn't keep doing it. And I couldn't do any of that stuff. And now I have a book that, I started reading it, and I actually felt like, I could get into this a little bit. So it's really normal for you to kind of lose your passion and your interest, for some of this. For some time, it's natural to lose some of your passions, and it makes the silence worse because the stuff that you would normally fill your silence with, you have zero interest in, And so I think it's nature's way of just forcing you to deal with yourself, to stop running away from the pain that you're feeling. You have to feel it. There's no way around it. You just have to. So the silence is something that you need to be prepared for. You need to understand that it's completely normal to be aware of the silence and feel the pain of that silence. And all it's doing is asking you to reimagine your life. But it's not something that you're going to force yourself to do. It's something that's going to happen every day, a little at a time, as you get up and make yourself breathe again, and get up and make yourself go to work, get up and make yourself go grocery shopping, get up and make yourself, take a shower and put on your makeup and do your hair. And you're not going to want to do any of those things when you're grieving and you're devastated, but you get up and you do it, and every day it gets a little bit easier. Every day you start to form a new pattern and ritual of what your life is. Every day you stop thinking about being alone a little bit more. So the silence becomes less about a painful silence, and it becomes more about, this is just my life now. And you form these new patterns of what your life is, and that's what you do every day. And you eventually, over time, you just stop focusing on the pain of being alone, and it becomes more about a reflection of being yourself and being independent. And I see so many videos on Instagram of women where they love being by themselves. And I saw another one yesterday, which was really interesting. It was a young woman who was out with her girlfriends at a nice restaurant. And all of a sudden, it dawned on her that every table in the restaurant that was filled were all women with other women hanging out, having dinner, and having a good time. And there was not one man and woman together on a date in the room at the time that she was filming that. And she was like, whoa, what is happening? And I'm seeing a lot of this where women are just so tired of the games, and they're tired of being masculated, being forced to be the heavy in the relationship, being, the one that's making all the money, or having someone in their life that's unmotivated or just makes them feel bad because they're powerful, or they're doing well in life, and somehow they're wrong for being successful because their partner isn't, and isn't doing the things they need to do. And women are getting tired of that. So a lot of women are choosing to just be single and enjoying their friendships. And they're focused on that. And I have to say that, like, when I went out with my first friend that I met here in Colorado, we had the same thing where we were talking about women supporting other women. And she pointed out, look around the room. All the tables were filled with women, with other women hanging out and supporting each other, and laughter and fun. And there's something to that. So one of the things that you need to do to heal that is to, have friendships, to ask for friendships, to rely on other, women in your life, men too, whoever you have in your life, but really rely on the women in your life and the friendships, because they're really going to support you, and they have for me too. I keep meeting all these other women, and I'm really asking for the friendships, and what's happening is they're so receptive to it, and they're, and what I say by asking for friendship, I mean, like, you suggest it. Hey, let's go get a cocktail sometime. Would you ever want to go have cocktails? Would you want to come over for cocktails sometimes? And they're like, oh my God, yeah, I just made another friend here saying, she's like, oh, great. Yeah, I'd love to. I need to make friends, because she's new in the area too. You have to ask for the friendships. And these are the things that end up filling that empty time. Okay. So that's all I wanted to say to you is, this update of just understanding the silence. And it is super painful in the beginning, but it does get better. And that's the thing that I wanted to share with you is, the silence gets better because your life becomes yours, and it becomes independent of the concepts that you had with someone else. And the more that time goes by, the more that the concepts of that old life fade away, and the new things that you're getting up every day and doing become your life. And then you start rewriting your life as you want it to be. And that fills all that empty space. So it's a process, and you're going to get there. And if you're feeling that silence and that pain, just know it's normal, but it's not going to last forever. Okay. All right, you guys, talk to you later. Bye. Drop in the comments how you're experiencing the silence. Drop that in the comments.